Hello, my name's Deearne Gould. I work at Centacare Family Services. I'm one of the senior psychologists there. And today I've been asked to talk to you about adapting to change. We've had so much change in the last few years, haven't we? So what we've got to remember is that change and loss are just an inevitable part of life. It happens to all of us. Sometimes it's, we know it's coming, and other times we don't know it's coming. So to deal with our change experiences, we're going to learn a little bit about grief, and we're going to learn a little bit about resilience. So grief is our reaction, or it's our natural response to change and loss. And we generally think of change and loss as divorce and death, but there's so many other things that are a loss experience. So loss of functioning, maybe an acquired brain injury where our brain no longer works, our inability to work anymore, we've lost maybe our physical ability, and so therefore we have a secondary loss of we don't have an income anymore, or we have a reduced income. And those sorts of losses, and of course we should talk about 𝑠𝑜𝑚𝑒𝑜 and we should talk about COVID, which were very recent. So those sort of losses, we don't give ourselves enough time to get through this and to work out what it is. So that's what we're going to be thinking about today. How do we work through this change and loss and grief experiences? And when you see the slides, you'll see that all these words come from a gentleman called Mr. Worden, and there will be a sources page at the end, which will show you where I found all the research, and there's even a YouTube. It was fabulous, but it was going to take up 20 minutes, so I decided let's not do that. So we must attend to our grief. And grief, of course, is complex, and often there's more things to it. So you might have that one grief experience, so let's say COVID, but then what else happened as a result? We might have lost our income, or we might have lost our house. People may have, unfortunately, people did die. So we have a whole lot of secondary losses that we need to work our way through as well. And there's no prescribed ways, of working through grief. Your feelings, we'll get to that in a minute, but there's no prescribed way or stages to working through your grief. You do it at your time, and it takes as long as it takes, 5 minutes, 5 months is not enough. Sometimes 5 years or 10 years is really a much better time frame for working through your grief. So the emotional pain of grief takes a toll on every part of our life. So health and morale, I'm just going to run through these quickly and come back. Health and morale, feeling and functioning, enjoyment of life, and our sense of well-being. So with the health and morale, one of those things like COVID and 𝐒𝑟𝑒𝑔𝑔𝐽 have been good because everyone's experience, I don't mean good, they've been an experience we've all had together. So our morale stays a little higher because we're all in it together. But our health can take a toll because we can get anxious, we can get worried. If we've lost our income, heavens, then our health is gone too, usually, because we can't afford to do the things that we used to do before. Our feelings, huge, aren't they? And all our feelings are together all the time, Sometimes it's good for us to pull them apart. They say to name it, therefore you can tame it. So if you can work out that you're actually anxious rather than angry, that's a different way. You're going to deal with anxiety differently to how you deal with anger. And we'll have that whole range of feelings, just overwhelming feelings when we have had major losses and changes as we've had in the last couple of years. So our enjoyment of life, we forget to have fun. Fun is what you make it. I say to my clients, if you're going to do exercise, what do you think of? And most people go, "Oh, go to the gym." And I go, "Do you want to go to the gym?" And they go, "Nah." And I go, "Well, then you're not going to do that." But exercise can be putting on your favourite music, dancing around the kitchen table. Who's going to see you? It's only your family, and hopefully they'll join in with you. And that lightens you all. You feel a bit more, you feel connected, but you also feel a lot calmer and peaceful in your spirit because you've actually done something physical and you've enjoyed it and hopefully sung along with it. And all of that goes into your sense of well-being. And when we have a major loss, it makes us think about what is the purpose of life? What are we here for? And this is your big question that everybody has to ask themselves. What is this all about and how am I going to do it? So these are major questions that we need to ask ourselves and answer to what suits you. It's not what suits anyone else, it's what suits you. And if you're in a family, what the family can deal with. Normal grief is accompanied by physical sensations. Okay, so we're going to may feel sick, we may actually vomit, because grief is a huge change to, we think we control everything, don't we? And so we think we control all these things, and we can't. So when something like COVID comes along, and 𝐒𝐨𝐬𝐬, or a bad harvest, or at the moment the mice plague, these things are out of our control. And so it just completely upsets everything physically for us as well. So we might start eating too much or not eating enough. We might start drinking too much or not drinking enough water. I'm obviously talking the drinking too much is the alcohol, but we still need the water to get our body working. Our stomachs can turn around and do backflips in us, and we think, "Oh, what's wrong with me? I'm dying." But often it is just the grief process. It's trying to sort through things. And of course, we might sleep too much or not sleep enough. Somewhere later, I think, oh yes, I've got it in a minute. So we talked a little bit about the feelings before, and those feelings have to be identified and worked through so that you can know how to do it. And I've got some skills later on how to do that. Now, our thinking process changes because we now realise, no, I'm not in control of all of this. I've got to think about what is in my control and therefore do what is in my control. Because some things are and some things aren't. So what's in our control? Maybe what time we get up in the morning, what we eat in a day, but we're not in control of the weather. We don't know what the weather's going to do. We've got to live with it. We're not in control of other people's actions and other people's ways of doing things. I'm only in control of what I do, and so long as I am doing nicer things rather than unnice things, that's about all I can expect. Behaviours. Now, this is where we really put the grief into motion. So, what I tell my clients is, anything you do in your grief is okay, provided you do not hurt yourself, you do not hurt others, and you do not hurt property. So hurting yourself might be, obviously, self-harm, but it might be driving too fast. We're so have no idea who we are at the moment, and we drive too fast. We can hurt ourselves, but boy, we can hurt other people too. So I used to teach my kids, never get into the car if you're not in control of your emotions. Get out and walk or get someone to pick you up. So if we're not in control, don't get behind that deadly machine. What other behaviours are there? All the eating and drinking, I forgot I did that before. How we speak to people, So I said, don't hurt yourself. So those are the obvious things we talked about. Don't hurt others. So speak respectfully to people. Don't hurt their feelings or their psyche by calling them rotten names or just generally being disrespectful. If we remember, I'm in grief, they may be too, but I'm in grief doesn't mean I'm allowed to chuck all my muck at them. I've got to sort through my stuff myself. And if I can't speak nicely to people, the old age, Grandma used to tell us, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything. It might be an old adage that we could pick up again and just say, thanks, I can't be with you at the moment, and toddle off and do your own thing. So don't hurt property, okay? Be respectful of all property, yours and others. So, leave doors, windows, cars in their own, the way they're meant to be, so that they can function well. Emotional pain, as you can hear, I'm talking about it, really needs to be acknowledged and worked through. And each person is going to do that differently. Now, on the PowerPoints, I've got a whole lot of supports actually written down, and you will see those when you get the PowerPoint, so I won't run through them. And all of this brings us to resilience. We've heard so much about resilience. What is resilience? It's the ability to cope with unexpected changes and challenges in your life. And I think every day we have at least one challenge, if not loads more. So it's not always able to prevent the stress, but our reaction to it is what we can control. It's your ability, resilience, is the ability to cope with tough times by applying your inner strength and engaging your support networks. Don't forget they're all there for you. They all love you. Call on them. Ask your support people to help you. And if you've already got a pretty good resilience standard, it will be easier for you, but it will still be a difficult time. So let's have a look at, yes, we've talked about all of that, so we won't waste our energy there. Coping strategies. That's the way that you enable yourself to deal with your stress and your changes in life. And there's many different ways of coping, and we're going to work through them now. Anything that is not harmful to your health and well-being could be worth a try. The really simple things. Take time out to relax. Now, I heard this brilliant thing from someone, have no idea who said it, but they said, we are human beings, not human doings. And sometimes when you look at us, we're just running around like little ants all the time. Hold on. Stop. Take a break. Is this really necessary? Is this really necessary today, at this time? Maybe I can do it later. Take time to relax. Exercise or meditation. Now, I told you my story about running around the kitchen table. Meditation, once again, doesn't have to be a formal thing. It can be as simple as sitting down, watching the sunset, whether it's over the ocean or whether it's over the paddocks or over the trees. Just go and sit and think, wow, what happened today? What am I pleased with that I did today? What am I not pleased with and won't do again tomorrow? That's meditation. You don't have to have a formal way of meditation, just whatever works for you, because meditation brings your heart rate down and stops that head rushing. And that's whatever way works for you. That's how you do it. Breaking the challenge down into a smaller size. I can't do this big, but I could think about, well, okay, I don't have enough money, so how am I going to pay these bills? All right, well, that one isn't due till then, and that one's not due till then. Oh, this one's due today, I better pay that one. You break things down into smaller sizes that you can cope with. And celebrate achieving your goals. We're really bad at that, aren't we? We don't just say, well done, Deearne, you got through the day without snapping someone's head off. That's pretty big for me, because I'm pretty good at snapping heads. So I had to really, over my life, go, oh, you can't do that, that's not respectful. So celebrate the great achievements the small achievements that you've achieved each day. Keeping a journal. Now, a journal is not a diary, okay? A diary records what you've done or what you're going to do. But a journal is right in here. You write. You start it with, I feel, and see what comes up. So there will be a feeling. Now, if we have trouble with our feelings, the way to remember it is, feelings are one word. So if I start to go into a sentence, I'm not feeling, I'm thinking. So a journal is talking about your feelings and what you want to do with them. So once you identify your feelings, you can then see what you're going to do about them. And thinking about the bigger picture. You know, in 5 years' time, is this problem really going to be a major event in my life? Have I made a mountain out of a molehill? So if we keep looking, we probably need to have a year plan and a 5-year plan, even of our own personal life, so that we just keep moving. We're not stagnant. Don't become dead, dull and boring, as I say to people. Now, strengthening your resilience. Know your own strengths. Excuse me. If you don't know them, ask your friends. Ask your family. They'll tell you what your strengths are. They'll also tell you what your bad bits are too. But we need to know our strengths and we need to work with them. Building our self-esteem, have confidence in myself. I'm never going to be able to climb a mountain, but I can probably vacuum the floor. So be aware of what I can do and what I can't do and what I don't have any intention of doing, such as climbing a major mountain. Build healthy relationships. You know, when the chips are down, that's the only thing that works for us, isn't it? Our relationships. We might have an intimate relationship or we might not. But we might have friends. We might have family. We might have children. Or even animals. They're fabulous because they don't argue back like your friends do. So build your relationships, and you've got to give time for that. Knowing when to ask for help, you know, and recently we've all had to learn to ask for help. Takes us a little while, doesn't it? But we can get there. Managing our stress and anxiety levels. Now there's a lot of help around. There's, you'll see in the sources, there's Black Dog, there's Beyond Blue, and the West Australian one is Centre for Clinical Interventions, which I forgot to put on the PowerPoints. But these things all have great long chapters of what anxiety and panic and all those other things are and how to deal with it. So sometimes we just need that extra help, and it's there online. So working on your problem solving and your strategies of how to work through problems. I think, I looked it up yesterday, Black Dog has a 2-page sheet of how to solve problems. So use all those facilities. So here on my last page, I've given you all the resources that informed my talk today. And at the bottom, I didn't get time to do this, but there's this fabulous little YouTube, and it's called You've Got This, and it's dealing with change. And it comes from the This Way Up YouTube. But it was a whole 20 minutes, so I wouldn't have had time for anything else. So if you've got nothing to do one day and you've got 20 minutes, have a watch. It's a great video. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. And of course, Centacare is always around in Geraldton and Meekatharra, Magnet, Exmouth, Carnarvon. We are here to help if you need to come and work through some of these issues with a psychologist. Thank you very much.